Pleasant good afternoon, good evening, good night to one and all. Welcome to another episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Today, Wednesday, the 6th day of December 2023. Welcome one and all. Welcome to this episode, which promises to be very informative as usual. Very, very informative. We are ready and raring to go. I see someone is already indicating they want to hear the roll call. You'll have that roll call shortly. Well, let's give praise, let's give thanks, let's share the live and let people know that we are on. We have not been on for over a week, so I guess people are anxious to hear what is going on. We're going to bring you the news in a short while. My colleague, Mr. Conway, is already in the studio, ready and raring to go. So share the live, let people know that we're on. Again, I say I'm overwhelmed when I see the number of students who would be in class or in the schoolyard. Very, very early, just waiting for us to get started. As soon as this program was scheduled this morning, the schoolyard was full of students just waiting, anxiously awaiting for the information. So we are going to bring it to you. As we would normally say, this is the day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Many are not that fortunate to be in the land of the living. And as we say, every day that you wake up, every day that the Lord gives you the privilege to wake up, we should rejoice and be glad. We don't know when the last day will come, so therefore every day, every new day, we should celebrate the new day. So yes, we are ready, we are raring, and we are waiting anxiously to get started. You have to give those who are going to be here to troll us as well the opportunity to join. I noted that in recent times, they have not been coming out really. They have not been coming out. I suspect they realize by now that it's a waste of time to try to discredit credible news. So I guess they are backing up. But you got to give them a chance because people are saying, everywhere I go, people meet me and people will say how happy they are over this program, how educational it is. Not only civilian members of the force have been meeting me and have been thanking me and my colleague for bringing this information to them, which they claim that within the system, they are not being taught some of these things, especially when a few weeks ago, we spoke about traffic, we spoke about the breathalyzer test, and we spoke about the motor manslaughter charge. Yeah, people have been praising us for bringing this information to them, and they are saying that they're hoping that the administration will take it into consideration and make sure that the ranks are taught appropriately. So we're going to continue to bring the information. We're going to continue to teach. We're going to continue to share the wealth of knowledge that we have acquired over the years. So yeah, share the live. You're just scrolling along the screen there. Advise you to share. I see numbers are very large numbers already. Very, very large numbers. Very large Benzi numbers. And let me run the roll call. People are saying roll call. Some people want the roll call. So I'm going to run the roll call very, very quickly, and then we're going to get into the program today. The program was scheduled about 8:30 this morning. We managed to schedule the program, and if my memory serves me correct, I'm running it there. But if my memory serves me correct, the first person that came on, there's some adjustments here, but the first person that came on would have been Vibert. Vibert was on. I noted here with the StreamYard platform, they did their own correction. But I made a note on the first person to come on this morning. Let me check it quickly. I made a note of it. Was Vibert Larson, and he was followed by Patricia Gravesandi, Isabella Baltars, Barlett came on, Winston Kilkenny was here, Sean Rabindranath, Derek Chapman, Tessa came on. Then we had Kenneth DeFarmont. Then we had Shivam Glasgow, All Abrams. All of these people have been knocked out from the roll call. So these are the notes that I've made. Joan Robinson, Ronald Jonas, Evelina Whitaker, John Cummins. We had Ulrich on very early, Family Music. Carl Artman from Arizona. We had Francis Keith, and Francis Keith did say this morning that he's back in Melanie. We had then we have here. These are the ones that left on: Brian Saul, Gavin Jacobs. Then we had Courtney Saul, George Calder, Raul, Lyndon, Titula, Sandra, Philippa, Winston from the UK. Then we had Michael Brower. Michael Brower is from all the way from the British Virgin Islands. Then we had Yvonne. Vibort from the East Bank was here. Desiree came in. Then we had Anthony. Denise is here with us. And we had Everett. Everett is from Texas. Joy, Carlisle, Rhonda. Lucius is here very early this morning. Then we had Carlton, my squad mate, Carlton Lewis. Melissa. Pito, Ian from Queens is here. Floyd said he missed a few weeks, but he was in Guyana and he's back in the USA. Keelan is here. Then we had Pauline. We have Princess from Lamar Springs. Como from New Jersey is here. Emerson is in the house. Then we had Jerry is here. Mandela is in class. Maureen is here. Philip is in class. That's Philip Edgell. Then we also have Philip Thomas right after him. John Knights from Staten Island, I think it is. Felicia, Kerry Glasgow, Queenie White, West Coast Barbies, Original Black Man, Barbara Barrington, Monica Adams is in class. Doreen from Canada is here. Gordon from Canada as well. Then we have Marvin, Ian, Jacko, my squad mate Stevens, 555 is here. Carville, another squad mate of mine is here. Stanford from Queens. Then we have Dennis Primo, California man, TK is in the house. And then Gloria, Rowan, regular is here. Marilyn, Sheena, Clifton is all the way from Paris is here. Chilo came in to join us. Then we have Orin from the UK is here again. Karen, Maxwell Beaton is in class. Glendis, and we have Robbie, Ruth, Anthony. You see, I tell you, a lot of people in the classroom, in the schoolyard. Debbie is in the schoolyard. Terrence from Canada came in. Then Denise, the secretary. Beverly. And then we had, when we went live, the first person on Facebook was Elise, followed by Simone. Patricia came back. Orin is here. Ratian, and the list goes on. So let me move straight into, having done the roll call, let me move straight into the program for today. And you know, as I said, this is the day that the Lord, we should rejoice and be glad in it. And let me announce first, I got news of the passing of a former member, W302, Yvonne Bristol. Word came to hand that Yvonne Bristol, W302, I understand she was stationed Force Control, CRO, and other places, but she passed recently. And we have lots of birthdays to celebrate today. Amanza Walter Nazir, our favorite member of parliament. Well, I shouldn't say our favorite, people are going to call me out for that. One of our favorite members of parliament celebrates a birthday today. So too, we have Superintendent Guy Nurse. I think he's the commander of Region Division 10. He's celebrating his birthday today. A former member, old TSU President Yardman Charles Watts, is celebrating today. And Sean Anthony Ben, he tunes into the program. I know he's celebrating his birthday today. Aubrey Rettimeyer, old soldier, his best wishes, birthday wishes to all those persons who are celebrating their natal day today. And we have some belated birthday greetings to retired Superintendent King, Keaton King. Mark Gilbert, a co-defendant, celebrated his birthday recently. Anthony Van der Eyden celebrated his birthday recently. Retired woman assistant superintendent Pamela King. We also had retired, I think she was chief inspector, she retired Tessa, old traffic lady Tessa Smith. And finally, we have a man who's on the program, I'm sure, Samuel Williams. He too celebrated a birthday recently. So all the best to all those persons who are celebrating birthdays today and those who recently celebrated their birthdays. Let me bring Mr. Conway in, and then we're going to keep moving along. CC, welcome.
Thank you. Praise the Lord, we're in the land of the living, and we are rearing to go to do God's work. I think the program is going to be very packed today, so let's get on with it.
Yeah, let's get on with it. We have a very packed program today, and again, I know we're gonna be in trouble with time, but we're gonna see how much we can get in. Because as I indicated, we have indicated before, we're not gonna deprive you of the information, even if we have to give you a makeup day. We will do so. Because to start off, remember last week we didn't have a program on Monday, and that is because on Monday we were in court. I'm gonna give you the full details of that in a short while. We were in court on Monday, and therefore we could not have had the Monday's broadcast. But cricket is in the air again. Cricket, West Indies playing England, and I think many of us got a surprise, a pleasant surprise on Sunday with West Indies defeating England in the first one-day international. England posted 325, which many of us felt was a very challenging score, but with the ably led by Shehok, the captain, and then we had our own Guyanese strongman chipping in with a brilliant 40-something runs there. They were able to pull it off, and I think it was 7 deliveries to Spirit. Today is the second game. I think it's a day-night, so it starts sometime this afternoon. Let's hope that there is some amount of consistency. But it was very pleasant to see that change. It was a very joyful thing. I watched the West Indies bat, and it's a long time. I did not enjoy the batting as I did on Sunday on the occasion. So yeah, and then we have those of you fanatical cricket fan. You have the Abu Dhabi T20 going on, as well as the Masters Abu Dhabi T10, as well as the Masters T20. Gale and some stalwarts are in that. I was watching before the program starts, and we'll see how that goes. CC, I'm sure you enjoyed that victory on Sunday.
Yeah, terrible. I really enjoy it, and I look at the skipper's innings. He hit some sixes with what we say effortless ease, man. Some of the shots he play, I say this man get caught down the boundary, but it's way over the boundary, man. And then Shepard played a master role there too, so it was good for us to be smiling on Sundays.
Yeah, well, just about consistency now. Let's see what they will do today, because they can actually clinch the series today with a win. And
Yeah,
then I think it moves on to Barbados. Let's see. Now, as I indicated, we were not here on Monday because we had court on Monday. But let me bring you in. Let me fill you in with what went on. We had court as well on Friday. And when we turned up on Friday for the continuation of this trial, we're talking about a trial where myself, Mr. Conway, several retired and serving members of the force are charged with conspiracy to commit fraud. That relates to the standing order review that we were asked by the force to do. Suddenly we end up with a trumped up conspiracy to commit fraud charge. So last Friday, the matter came up, and another effort, as I believe, to delay, because when the matter was called, the prosecutor, so-called prosecutor, informed the magistrate, informed the court that they had now filed a fixed date application to basically challenge the decision of the magistrate not to allow for additional disclosure. So remember, I reported earlier that what they did was they sued the magistrate. Deputy Superintendent Jeffers and Soku sued the magistrate because the magistrate had ruled that at this late stage, she was not going to allow additional disclosure. Quickly, disclosure simply means that the prosecutors or the prosecution has a legal responsibility to provide the defense with all statements and documents they intend to use during the trial. Now, they did not do that, and they waited until the last moment that they were trying to get some documents in, that the magistrate ruled that she's not going to allow that. The trial had started, and they had over 2 years. Can't remember these charges. The charge was filed on the 19th of May, 2021. Matter commenced in September 2023, and they still had not at that time not filed all the statements and documents that they intended to use. So the magistrate ruled, following objections from the defense counsels, that she was not going to allow it. So they sued the magistrate and sought a stay to prevent the magistrate from continuing the case. No stay was granted. So when we resumed on the Friday, the magistrate had indicated that before the hearing before that, the magistrate had indicated, I think that would have been on the 14th of November, that in the absence of any order from a higher court, she was going to continue. So when we got to court on Friday last, we learned now that they had initiated a new High Court proceeding. This time they filed a fixed date application in respect to the same thing, to challenge the magistrate decision not to allow additional disclosure at that stage. The magistrate then adjourned to Monday and said at that time she's going to rule whether she's going to continue or whether it's going to be a stay. So when we got there on Monday, the magistrate informed us, the court, that she had not received any order from any higher court staying or the trial, and therefore she will proceed, and she did proceed with the trial. Witnesses were called, witnesses were examined, and then the matter was adjourned to the 14th of December. At that stage, the prosecutor indicated that they have 2 more witnesses to call, and it was stated that those 2 witnesses are likely to be the last 2 witnesses. So they have done everything to delay this matter. They filed a statement of claim against the magistrate sometime last month. When that did not succeed, they now file a fixed date application. And I understand that based on what the prosecutor said, the fixed date application is going to be heard in the court on the 19th of December. So we will see where that will go. Let me bring in Mr. Conway to make his comments on that, and to, in case I left out anything, for him to bring us up to date. CC, your take on what I just explained.
You're quite correct with what you said, and I mean, I can't comment too much of it, but I said in previous times that it was a trump up, or it is a trump up charge. And the whole thing was to charge Conway, charge Paul Slow, and move towards being suspended from the Police Service Commission, which the judge ruled was unconstitutional. So the other persons who get charged, this is just a collateral damage, you know. So the thing is that I know that they have no case against us, and it's only a matter of time. Don't mind how much they delayed. It's just a matter of time, and then we will be vindicated, Paul.
Yeah, for that, the result is certain. I have no doubt as to what the result will be. As you rightly said, we're not going to comment on the evidence and some of the other stuff, but we just bring you up to date with what is going on. And in terms of the other cases with me, on the 29th, the full court was to rule on the appeal by Brutus. You know, Brutus, the man who sits there, admin, sued me for defamation of character. The matter was dismissed by the judge, and they appealed to the full court. Now, the full court was scheduled to announce a ruling on the 29th. On that date, I received an email from my lawyers to say that the court had informed them, the registrar for the court, that there was no need for an appearance in court, that the decision will be sent by email by the first day of December this year. But I haven't seen it as yet. I don't know if the lawyers have received it. I'll have to find out a little later if they receive. So I don't know what is the position with that. That is the civil lawsuit brought against me by Brutus. And then the next matter, the sexual offense charges that I got, the magistrate was to rule yesterday on that. So some submissions were made months ago by my attorneys, and the magistrate was to rule on the submissions yesterday. But then we got a note from the court that the magistrate was otherwise engaged, and the ruling will now be handed down on the 12th of December. So that is what it is. That is what it is. Somebody is asking me to explain what is a fixed date application. Well, as it implies, it's an application for, in this case, for judicial review of the decision of the magistrate. And fixed date, in my understanding, simply means that a date is actually fixed for the matter to commence in the court. So it's not left hanging. Unlike the statement of claim that I referred to earlier, it is left for the court to set some date. My understanding is that when you file a statement of claim, it can take years before it comes up. But with a fixed date application, there is some urgency there, and that is likely to come up much faster than the statement of claim. That's a way of getting a matter into the High Court. So that is my explanation. I am no lawyer, but that is my understanding of what it is. Now to move on, let me say, there's a disturbing report. I'm sure Mr. Conway would have seen it, where, because of this Venezuelan issue, which we will deal with in a short while, they all claim to execute by Venezuela, and some remarkable and startling, worrying development overnight. We're gonna go through it in a short while. But no, the police force, I understand, is in line, meaning that ranks are in there standing by. When you're in line, you can't go any place, you just duty and you remain inside. In other words, you're in a state of readiness. And the people have been complaining, the ranks have been complaining of the quality of food they are being given. So I see somebody send a box with some rice and what appears like some piece of potato salad. People complaining, 3 slices of bread on the executable course with a cup of tea, and then all sort of remarks are being made. But I don't know how you can have people in line. They can't go home, they can't go any place. They have to remain in there. And from the complaints that are being circulated, they are not being properly taken care of. So I really don't know what is going on, right? I don't know. Well, this gentleman asked me about petition. I don't know nothing about petition. You got to ask the lawyers and those people. I told you about my matter in the court, and I can explain that. But you're asking me now about petition 88, and I don't have the expertise to deal with that. Perhaps you'll want to consult with one of the lawyers who are involved in that process. Now, Mr. Conway, this worrying complaints about ranks not being properly taken care of during this alignment. What are your views?
I got some complaints about the same matter, the food. At one location, they say at lunchtime, they went in there since 6 o'clock in the morning, and at lunchtime, they give them one pot spoon of chow mein, a piece of chicken, and some local drink. And that was their lunch. And in addition to that, I understand the accommodation is horrible. You have female there, no proper washroom, no proper toilet facilities, and they got to stay there whole day. The accommodation is horrible at station, and the meals, one pot spoon, and it's a small pot spoon of chow mein, nothing else, and a piece of chicken, and nothing else, and the in an oil producing country where they say we the fastest growing economy in the world, and that's how we're treating the person who we want to go on the border, who we want to defend the state of Guyana. That's how we're treating them. I remember I think earlier the year we had a photograph where remember the TSU sleeping on sleeping on newspaper, and that situation has not changed. They need to get down and make sure that they look at their human resource, because the human resource is the most important resource, and when it's gone, it cannot be replaced. So appealing to them, appealing to the extended squatter, please look after your people. Make sure they have proper meals. Make sure they have proper accommodation, or find a alternative accommodation for them.
Yeah, well, it's sad because the extended squatter ought to know the primary place in line in the force used to be the TSU, which I was in command of for years. And I can tell you, you always ensure that once people are going to be in line, that their welfare is taken care of, especially as it relates to their meals. Got to be properly fed. They have to be properly rested, comfortably rested, and all of that. And to hear that people are in line, especially women, and they don't have proper facilities for them to stay, they're not getting proper meals, can be very, very demoralizing. Very, very demoralizing. That is not the way you would want to treat people. So we're hoping, and then you have you have the people from the welfare, you have the police association that has been very silent since they came and they were given names to provide for members of the Police Service Commission, which they did dutifully provided. You don't hear anything more about them. And this is part of their mandate to make sure the welfare of ranks is taken care of. That they should visit and to make sure that these things, now that this thing has been broadcast here, they're going to try to victimize, to find out who are the people passing the information. That's what they've been doing all the time, and try to victimize the ranks. But what they should really do is visit these locations and see the quality of meals the people are getting, to see the living accommodation, especially when it comes to the females, especially females. You cannot have females in line and then you don't have proper place for them to stay. Let's understand this clearly. And I would call on the squatter, I will call on the welfare people, I will say the people from the police association, and even the silent and missing in action Minister of Home Affairs. They should go and look into these things. They should do so. You can't treat people like that. You have them in line. They can't go to home to eat. You have to provide them with meals. And a man complaining, big man get 3 slices of bread and some tea. And then they're making us out of comments, if you don't want it, leave it, and that type of thing. I got a picture here. I forget to set it up. A little box of some rice, would look like some fried rice, with what looked like piece of potato salad. No meat that can to be seen. That is not the way you're going to treat ranks if they're in line and you want them to be motivated to work. So let's hope that this is addressed. Now, the next thing that I want to address, CC, I had an experience on Saturday. I traveled out of Guyana on Saturday. And, you know, these people are not learning. These people are not learning. And these people, and especially extended squatter, who is the chief immigration officer. You know, I have said the chief immigration officer is the commissioner of police. Whoever that person is the chief immigration officer in Guyana. The man who is in charge of the immigration office is a deputy chief immigration officer. So when the law speaks to the chief immigration officer, they're referring to the commissioner of police, in this case, the extended squatter. Now, I booked to travel out and I arrived at the airport. Given the problems with the traffic on the East Bank and all of that, I always seek to leave early so I can get to the airport in sufficient time. So I got to the airport, checked in with the airline. Having checked the airline, the next check is to, you go to the security people here to check your suitcase. And I always wrap my suitcase. So I had the suitcase wrapped, passed through the system, they indicated to me that everything was okay. I then went to the desk. There's a desk there before you enter the immigration. They check your boarding pass to see everything is okay there. When I went into the immigration office, the immigration area, I filled out my ED form. I presented it to an immigration officer. There weren't any, I was the only body in the place. I presented it, and quickly he went through, he checked, he stamped it, and everything. I went through security. You know, you have to take off your belt, take out your computers from your carry-on and all. I did all of that. Took off my shoes, took off my belt, and everything was good. So I sat down in the bench there now, putting on my shoe and fixing myself together. And the immigration officer approached me. I don't know his rank. He was dressed in the jacket. He hadn't on the regular uniform with insignia indicating his rank. He came to me and then he asked me if I had permission to leave the country. So I asked him, why would I need permission to leave the country? And he said something. He said that, you know, something in the system. There is something in his system, and he wanted to know. So I said, look, I told him what the court, the order of the court is. Justice Navendra Singh, in December of last year, ruled that the immigration or the police have no authority to stop anyone from leaving the country unless there's an order from the court. But he's telling me that there's something in the system. But let me say this, folks. Let me say this. He was so professional in his approach that he disarmed me, because my initial reaction was to, well, more or less give you a rough time. But he was so professional, he disarmed me. And I said to him, I said, look, I have permission from the court to travel out of Guyana since 2021. I said, all a while, I'll show you the permission. I had it on my computer. He stayed there. I opened my computer. It took me some time. Eventually, I found the document and I showed it to him. He read it. I said, do you want me to provide you with a copy? He said, no, that you were satisfied with what he saw. So I said, okay. And he thanked me and he went. Very, very professional, very, very courteous. So I went through, and about 10 minutes later, while I'm upstairs in the, where they have the bars and so on, the same officer approached me again. And he told me that he would like to have the reference from the document I had showed him. So I told him to hold on. He waited, and then I went into the computer again. I pulled up the document, and he was able to copy the reference number, the name of the judge, the date the order was issued, and all of that. So I said, you still don't want a copy? He said, no, this is sufficient. And then he left. He did indicate something about his superiors and other type of things. So in other words, he was given these instructions, and he was dutifully carrying out his instruction. But the point I want to make, that again, the court ruled, and I'm going to read some parts of what the court said. Justice Prasad, Justice Singh, Navendra Singh. And let me read this thing to you for you to understand what is going on. Supreme Court Judge, and this is since December last year, Supreme Court Judge Navendra Singh has ruled that the Guyana Police Force does not have the authority to blacklist persons from leaving the jurisdiction. This landmark ruling stemmed from the constitutional challenge filed at the High Court by Police Finance Officer Woman Superintendent Acting Marceline Washington, who is currently before the court on conspiracy charges for allegedly defrauding the state by falsifying 5.1 million in food vouchers. The charges were indictable. She was represented by Dexter Todd and Associates in the challenge filed against the Attorney General, the Minister of Home Affairs, and the Commissioner of Police. Washington sought a declaration that our deprivation of the freedom of movement by the Guyana Police Force breached our constitutional rights. Additionally, she sought an administrative order of mandamus directed to the Commissioner of Police, compelling him to remove our name from the blacklist at all ports of exit. She added that the inclusion of our name on such a list is capricious, vexatious, malicious, abuse of power, unconstitutional, unlawful, ultra-virus, and in excess of its jurisdiction. She explained that she was charged in June 2021, and no court order was made to restrict her from leaving the jurisdiction since she did not pose a flight risk. However, she later received a letter from the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Home Affairs through the Office of the Commissioner indicating that since she was criminally charged, she is now blacklisted from traveling beyond the borders of Guyana. Justice Singh, in his ruling, found that the Guyana Police Force cannot restrict the movement of any person around or out of Guyana unless such restriction is provided for in the laws of Guyana or pursuant to an order of the court. In fact, he added that since the filing of these proceedings, the Bail Act of 2022 was passed and assented to, and the provision therein, particularly Section 11, are most instructive. Section 11 makes it clear that conditions, including conditions restricting a bailed person's ability to travel, may be imposed by the court granting bail. So basically what happens here, unless the court prevents you from leaving the country if you're charged, no immigration officer, the chief immigration officer, the minister of affairs, or the permanent secretary, they cannot. And one would have thought that having regards to the fiasco with David Patterson not so long ago, where they stopped him from leaving because, again, something on the system, and they apologized and they said all kind of thing, and they're now sued in that matter. They would have corrected the system, but it would appear, given my experience on Saturday, that they still have this system there where persons who are charged remain and are basically blacklisted from leaving the country in total defiance of the court order. And I must say that I remember the Attorney General appealed this order from the judge. Well, let me remember how the system works. An order is made. There is no stay. The Attorney General appeals, so the order is effective until such time that it is overturned by a higher court. So to turn up there on Saturday and to hear people telling me that my name is in a system and I have to show an order to travel. As I said, the circumstances under which I was leaving caused me to, well, more or less cooperate. Had it not been for those circumstances, I would not have given them anything. I would not have shown them anything and let them stop me from traveling in defiance of the order from the court. As I said, this is not a real place. I was charged in 2021. May, May 2021. I appeared in court in October. And knowing how the system can be vindictive, I approached, through my lawyer, we approached the High Court for permission to leave the jurisdiction. The Chief Justice ordered case. The Attorney General appeared in person. Understand this. When I made an application to leave Guyana, because I had contractual obligations, the Attorney General himself appeared and opposed the granting of by the court of permission for me to travel. He appeared in person. Arguments went on, and the court eventually ruled in my favor. I had to produce surety. I had to make all other commitments. I was given a specific time to return. I traveled because I was going on duty. As the court ordered, I produced transport and all of that, and I returned as the court ordered. I had to leave a second time, again to fulfill my contractual obligations. I had to approach the court again, and this time it was Justice Singh. In the first occasion, it was the Chief Justice. The second time, it was Justice Singh. And again, the Attorney General Chambers objected. Listen to this carefully, folks. I returned to Guyana in 2021 voluntarily to answer a charge. I then applied for permission to leave. The Attorney General objected. The court granted me permission to leave. I left and I returned as directed by the court. I had to make a second application to leave. Again, the Attorney General objected. The AG Chambers objected to my leaving the country. Again, the matter was argued. The judge ruled in my favor, allowed me to go and come back by a certain time. I left and I came back as ordered by the court. I had to leave a third time. I had to go to the court a third time. And when I went there the third time, again, I was granted. But on this occasion, the third occasion, the Attorney General's chambers, in the form of the Solicitor General who was present, did not object. So I was granted permission to leave. And it was basically open-ended permission that I have. But since then, the court ruled that you don't need permission to leave. Unless, let's put it this way, when you are put on bail, the court can say that what the restrictions are, that you should not leave the jurisdiction. If you're charged indictably or with any serious matter and the police feel that you should not be allowed to leave, they have to make an application to the court. They have to approach the court, and the court has to grant that permission for you not to leave. And I'm saying, as I've said before, the only list they should have at the airport, is a list of persons who the court says should not leave the country. The court should make that decision. But here it is. No court has said that I shouldn't leave. As a matter of fact, to the contrary, the court, I have an order from the court which permits me to leave, and the police telling me that I got to produce that order, the immigration people. So that is what it was. And I'm saying again that these things can happen because when your rights are violated and you go to the court, they got a slap on the wrist. We made the point with the lawyer who was arrested for advising her client to remain silent. And what happened? She got damages in the sum of 700,000 Guyana dollars, cost I think into some amount. And that's it basically. The ranks who commit these violations are not held accountable. In the case of the lawyer Clark, the man has been promoted. Christian Ramana has been promoted. So these things are going to continue to happen in this state. The Attorney General likes to speak about the rule of law, but you can't speak about the rule of law when courts are making decisions and they are being flouted. They are being openly violated. And that was my experience. I'm not speaking secondhand. This is not hearsay. This is what I experienced myself on Saturday, the 2nd of December 2023. Let me bring you Mr. Conway. CC, I did tell you of the experience. What are your comments, my brother?
Well, the thing is that the extended squatter, by now after Justice Singh and me passing order, he should have called in or written have an order, SOP, to the immigration people saying, hey, you cannot prevent the person from leaving unless there is a court order. Or in addition to that, he has got to make sure that this person, the deputy chief immigration officer, is aware of that, and he can't flout the court order. It happened with Patterson, and the thing is that we need to be very careful in what we do. They had years ago they had an issue where Clarence True, who was the controller of customs, he had a court matter, and his lawyer, I remember Rex McKay said, hey, let me test the system. And because they knew fully well that the court didn't pass any order for him to prevent him from leaving. And he bought a ticket to go to Trinidad. He didn't intend to go anywhere. And when he turned up there, they stopped him. And he sued the state and he got some money. But then maybe I could try it, but then if I try it, I guess $700,000, which is chicken feed money. So maybe it's not worth it. But the thing is that they need to put systems in place, and all those persons who are on stop lists, who are on those computers, they need to delete them. Take off the names from the who they have there, unless it's a court order. And it's simple. Sometimes the court will say you have to lodge your passport. Well, if you lodge your passport, you can't go anywhere unless you go backtrack. So that's the whole idea, that they need to be very clear. And I say in the courts, the amount that the court would give you, is not really worth it at times.
Yeah, I agree. And you made a very important point that from the time Justice Singh made that order, December last year, December 2022, they extended Squatter, who is the chief immigration officer, should have had an SOP. He should have had a SOP prepared. And the ranks at immigration should have been instructed accordingly to say that now that this order is passed, notwithstanding the fact that the Attorney General has appealed, there is no stay. So you should not be asking anyone to produce any document other than their passport to leave the country, because that is a violation of the order made by the court. One would have thought it had to be taken up at that level. But as I've said, the fact that this rank can tell me that something in the system, remember there's the same thing they said about Patterson, they told Patterson, something in the system that he should not, travel. And they told me that. He told me that on Saturday. And again, I said, the rank was very, very courteous and very, very professional in his approach. And that is what disarmed me. Because people who know me know that I like a war, I like a confrontation. And I would have said to him plainly, based on what I know of the law, that I have nothing to produce. But he came so professional, he was so courteous, almost apologetic. And he said, well, I know his superiors and all of that. So I decided to show him the order that I got. Because every time I travel, I always have it. Because I anticipate that these people are likely to do any manner of thing. And somebody said, yes, they have my name there, profiling you, so you can't travel. They have it there. They have it there. So that is what the experience was. When I made the notification for this program yesterday, I said that one of the issues that we're going to continue to discuss was this statement, this vile statement by the second vice president calling Member of Parliament Cathyuse a low life. But I don't know if you're going to get time to go into that, because there was some remarkable development overnight in the Guyana-Venezuela controversy. You will recall that Venezuela had this referendum on Sunday the 3rd. But even before that, Guyana had moved to the International Court of Justice for some interim orders. And the International Court of Justice ruled, among other things, that both parties should do nothing to alter the territory as it exists now. Fancy legal language and all of that. So the referendum was held on Sunday, December the 3rd in Venezuela. They had 5 questions. And if you recall, question 3 speaks about them not recognizing the jurisdiction of the International Court of Justice to resolve this matter. And question 5, if I remember correctly, speaks about them annexing and making Essequibo a state of Venezuela and issuing ID card to the people in Essequibo and all of that. And, it was disappointing to read that the people saying, including the vice president, the second vice president, saying that somebody gave the assurance that Venezuela would not invade Guyana, and all kind of talk they had. So much so that leading up to such an important issue, both the second vice president, the president, they went to Dubai for some climate change conference. So that shows the priority that they had. That showed the priority. So Venezuela had the referendum on Sunday, and as to be expected, the people voted overwhelmingly to support yes in terms of the 5 questions. And again, to read the second vice president saying that the referendum was a failure. By what standard? How are you measuring this failure? Because we had said here, and I said before, that if 10 people turn up, Venezuela propaganda machine will kick in, and they're going to tell you how the people turn out in the large numbers to vote yes. And that is exactly what happened. So regardless of what numbers you're going to say turned up, Venezuela is saying that the 98%, I think, of the persons voted in favor of the 5 questions that were asked. And last night, let me read it here. Let me read what has transpired overnight. Overnight, the Venezuelan president met with the government council, and they now started to give effect to the questions that were asked in the referendum, the questions that were affirmed in the referendum. And it says, President Maduro, and this is only last night, President Maduro highlighted the overwhelming approval, 98%, of recognizing the Geneva Agreement as the sole instrument for the practical solution. Additionally, more than 97% of the voters rejected the 1899 arbitral award imposed by the Monroe Doctrine. So basically, we're saying here, 98% say that forget about the ICJ and the 1899 arbitral award, it should go to the Geneva Agreement. But the process that we have, the Guyanese have, is in keeping with the Geneva Agreement. Because the Geneva Agreement, after Venezuela made this spurious claim in 1962 or somewhere around then, they had the Geneva Agreement, which says that you should have this good officer process. In other words, both countries are going to appoint people to discuss the issue. The Geneva Agreement also provided that if that process failed, the United Nations Secretary General shall determine how the matter is going to be handled. So the good officer process failed, and in 2018, the coalition government threw it back to the United Nations Secretary General for this matter to be resolved. The United Nations Secretary General decided the International Court of Justice, the ICJ, will resolve the issue. Venezuela make nice, said that they don't recognize the ICJ jurisdiction. The ICJ on 2 occasions ruled that they have jurisdiction to try the case. When Venezuela participated a few weeks ago in the interim measure sought by Guyana, they made it clear that the fact that they are participating does not mean that they recognize that the ICJ has jurisdiction. So they signaled long ago what the intention would have been. And we sat down and we cussing out people on a Thursday, and we're doing all manner of things, and we have not, in my view, taken the measures that are necessary. We talk about rallying public support, educating people in Guyana, and very belatedly, they start issuing jerseys. I know, even with the jerseys, I have seen certain things. I know from school, unlike the man 83, I went to school and they taught me that the national motto is one people, one nation, one destiny. That is the national motto. All of a sudden, you're hearing about one Guyana. One Guyana is not a national motto. One Guyana is a political slogan. And it's all right for the political party, the PPP, to have their political slogan, but that is not the national motto. And to see some of these signs that they are putting up, talking about bringing people together, talking about patriotism and all of that, get the PPP slogan, One Guyana. Even the T-shirts that we were calling on over the months for them to issue, and caps and posters and placards and all this type of thing, some of them have this PPP slogan in it. So I don't know where we're going. So that is it. One of the things that Venezuela said, 97% of the voters rejected the 1899 arbitral award imposed by the Monroe Doctrine. Another issue that they said, President Maduro announced the establishment of an integral defense zone of Guyana Essequibo, you know the spell it their way, with administrative and military headquarters in Tumarimo. Major General Alexis Rodriguez Cabello was appointed as the sole authority. So in other words, what they said last night, what the Venezuelan President Maduro, and if you break it down in syllables, is Maduro. Maduro said that they have created the establishment of a defense zone in Guyana Essequibo. Listen to this carefully. With the administrative and military headquarters in Tumarimo. Major General Alexis Rodriguez Cabello was appointed as the sole authority. In other words, Venezuela appoint a governor for, that's how I interpret it. A major general, a person in military rank, as the governor, basically as the sole administrator for Essequibo. They go on to say that PDVSA and CVG. Let me tell you what this is all about. PDVSA and CVG were given, the directives were given to PDVSA and CGV to create Essequibo divisions and branches and issue license for oil and gas, and mining exploration immediately. Now the PDVSA, basically, I know Spanish, but they say it's Petroleos. Petroleos is a state-owned oil company. So they have given permission for this state-owned oil company to issue license in for exploration and so on in Essequibo. And the CVG is a Corporación Venezuela de Guyana. It's a state-owned Venezuelan metal conglomerate located in Guyana region in the southeast of the country. That is the southeast of Venezuela. So these are two state entities, according to what Maduro is saying. These two state entities are to create Essequibo divisions and branches and issue license for oil, gas, and mining exploration immediately. So they are expected to issue license for mining and so on in Essequibo, in our Essequibo. It goes on to say a new map of Venezuela is to be published in schools, high schools, and university. A new map of Venezuela is to be published. And the new map will incorporate Essequibo as part of Venezuela. This is last night, folks. These are some of the decisions that came from the president last night in Venezuela. It goes on to say, President Maduro announced the initiation of population census operation in the Essequibo territory and the commencement of an identification process. Let me read about. President Maduro announced the initiation of a population census operation in Essequibo territory and the commencement of an identification process. In other words, they are going to go to Essequibo to do a census and to commence an identification process. That is what Maduro said last night. He goes on, and listen to this carefully. A special law will be enacted to terminate concessions granted by Guyana within 3 months. And also, President Maduro invited all companies to negotiate with the Venezuelan government. In other words, what he is saying here, that ExxonMobil and all of those persons who have concession there, mining in Essequibo, the current oil and gas arrangement, that there's a special law will be enacted to terminate the concessions granted by Guyana. So all concessions granted by the government of Guyana, Venezuela plans to pass a law within 3 months to terminate all of those contracts. And he's saying that those persons who are there, the people like Exxon and them, must negotiate with the Venezuelan government if they want to continue operating in the area. That is what they say. They go on to say a special law will decree environmental protection areas in the Guyana Essequibo and National Park. Again, let me read about a special law will decree environmental protection areas in the Guyana Essequibo and National Park. So they're going to pass a law to say, basically, as I interpret it, that the whole Essequibo now, they're going to identify national parks and all of that. I know, as far as I know, once an area has been declared a national park, it means certain operations cannot be conducted there. Certain operations cannot be conducted, so they're going to tell you can't mine. So all of those itinerant miners and all those people are likely to hear very soon that they can't continue to mine in the area, I suspect, unless they get permission from the Venezuelan government. And then they say, two, President Maduro established a high commission for the defense of Essequibo, Guyana, involving various governmental bodies and sectors. Again, President Maduro established the High Commission for the Defense of Essequibo, involving various government bodies and sectors. That is last night, friends. That is what took place last night in Venezuela. And what do we have? Nothing silence. The president made a statement last night, basically saying about reaction what he had said before. And then it goes on. The last point here, then they say President Maduro authorized the start of a social attention plan for the population of Guyana Essequibo. Again, President Maduro authorized the start of a social attention plan for the population of Guyana Essequibo. So he gets some plan that he's authorizing for the social attention plan, a social attention plan for the population of Essequibo. This is the country, Venezuela, that can't even look after their own self. Hyperinflation, people running all over the world. But he has a social attention plan for the population of Essequibo. And lastly, he says, President Maduro ordered the execution of a census and the delivery of identity cards to the inhabitants of Guyana Essequibo. Again, President Maduro ordered the execution of a census and the delivery of identity card to the inhabitants of Essequibo. Now, how are you going to conduct a census? As I know it, you got to go better house to house and you conduct a census. So it simply means that the Venezuelan authorities are going to come to Essequibo and they're going to go house to house. That is what they're saying. That is how I interpret it, to conduct a census and with a view to issue an identification card to all persons in Essequibo. I have read this thing over and over since I received it, and I have given you, and that is not the whole thing, but some of the points that I believe are very important. And what happened? What happened? People are not, I don't think this information is being passed out. Why? Guyanese need to know what is going on, especially people in Essequibo need to know what is going on. Let me bring in CC for him to have his say on this. CC, I've given a mouthful there for what I have read. I'm sure you will want to make your give your 2 cents as well. Go ahead, please.
True to form, the Venezuelans said from the inception that they're not going to abide with any decision by the ICJ or any other ruling. They made it clear that they're not going to. So actually, what they have done is annex Essequibo virtually. They ain't come physically, but virtually they have annexed Essequibo. And let me talk about Essequibo because Essequibo includes some other rivers, the Cayuni, the Mazaroni, the Potaro, the Rupunoni, the Waini, the Burimo, the Imbatiro, the Moruco, the Yarakito, and several other rivers where they have mining and other operations there. And here's it, Venezuela saying, hey, ExxonMobil and others within 3 months, you have to cease operation and you gotta apply to us for things. Venezuela is showing a lot of power, and they're not only showing a lot of power. The true to form, what they say they're gonna do, they started to act on it. And what we doing? President making bits and pieces of as statements, nothing form, nothing form, bits and pieces. He's talking about. But the fear of the Guyanese community is there. Not only those living in Guyana, but those overseas. I went to Puerto Rico last Sunday, And here one man tell me joking, he says, CC, by early next year you gotta get visa to come to Puerto Rico because Venezuelan gonna take it. My little niece, 8 years old, came from Kokwani to visit us. And she said, Uncle Clinton, it's true that Venezuelan coming and take over Guyana and they're coming for all we, you know. The thing is the fear is there and the president talking about making Guyana and the other and the Caribbean and the, South America a region of peace. Before we concentrate on Guyana, you get abroad. The Jamaican will say you must bad a yard before you bad outside, bad a yard, and they're not really dealing with this thing as they ought to. This is serious business. As saying over and over again, the president has got to address the nation properly. There no piecemeal effort. Piecemeal effort will only produce piecemeal results. Make a proper statement to the nation, address the nation properly, and based on that statement, you could have it properly recorded, properly documented, circulated in all the offices, circulated in the factories, the fields, and all about the place that people would know exactly what is going on. And we can't allow Venezuela to do their own thing. It must not happen. And you know, I just want to say something that you know I checked the Hansard, and the Hansard is really the records in Parliament. Let me read a definition for what a Hansard is. Hansard is a written record of proceedings and debates in Parliament, similar to a transcript. It is not strictly verbatim record, but rather it is a verified it is a verified and accurate record repetition and that may be repetition may be omitted and obvious mistakes corrected and introductions omitted unless responded to for the principal speaker. The thing is that the hands-on is records made of speeches in parliament, presentations in parliament, and they had one on the 17th on the 12th of July 1968 by Forbes Burnham talking about the Venezuelan crisis. I don't agree with that for Burnham policy. But here is what you say. And this is his final paragraph say. In the final analysis, even if we have no friends with weapons or prepare to supply us with weapons or assist us with weapons, we the Guyanese people have faith in ourselves and come the Venezuelans for every 1,000 blows, we shall be prepared to deal one death blow. And even if we have to die, we shall die not like hogs, but like men. That we not serious about this thing there. And we need to have serious statement from the president filter down to the ordinary Guyanese. And we must show Venezuelan that we're not afraid of them. That even when your friends, as Bodham said, we shall be prepared to deal with death blow. And even if we have to die, we shall die not like hogs, but like men. That we need to be serious about this thing, and we're not serious. We jumping about the place, we run into a Sequebo, we run into other local, but we're not really doing anything. I said over and over again that we must deal with our dime diplomacy. We don't have an ambassador in Caracas. And that's where we was. I don't know what happened with Van Charles. So far, you haven't heard a word about Van Charles. And I hear rumors that Ganga Prasad is the man who will be there. That our diplomacy, we doing some work, yes, but we got to do much more, and we got to get assurance from the people. Our intelligence, what is our intelligence doing? What is our intelligence doing? We mightn't be like Israel that has the Shin Bet that dealing with local intelligence and the Mossad that dealing with foreign in intelligence. Our military, what we are doing with the military, including police. You ask what's going on in the border. Ask what kind of support will be shocking to see so far the kind of support that the extended squad is giving people at key border locations. So look at our military and our economy. They're trying with our economy. They want to shut down Chaseway, Exxon Mobil, and other persons from mining, in our rivers in Guyana. So the thing is, I'm saying, I'm appealing to the president, please, please, Mr. President, have a proper address to the Guyanese nation. Let us know what really is happening. Let us know your plans, your strategic plans to deal with it. Jamaica, never Jamaica. Venezuela's jump off. They gone for it. We need to come to them. We need to deal with them effectively and effectively.
Well said, my brother. Well said. Let me respond to two quick things here now, because somebody made a point that they talk about the annexation. Now, when the Venezuelan President Maduro says that they are going to now redraw the map of Venezuela to include Essequibo, that is annexation. Annexation, in my view, doesn't mean that you have to come into the territory and establish anything. You are now going to draw a map, they say, which will be preventing schools and universities and all of these places, with Essequibo as a part of Venezuela. You're talking about coming into Essequibo to do census, to issue identification card, and all. That is annexation. So they have last night, they effectively, the Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, has started the process of annexing Essequibo. He has indicated quite clearly there are now passed laws that within 3 months, the likes of Exxon Mobil and CNOC and all of those people who are there have to leave or negotiate with Venezuela to, if they want to remain. They have called on their local oil and gas companies to issue license to for oil and gas exploration in Essequibo. So they have that's annexation. That annexation. And I have always said that this invasion that we're talking about, I don't think it's going to be a military invasion where tanks are rolling in and warplane and soldiers are crossing the borders. I mentioned before, you have an annexation started a long time ago with hundreds and thousands of Venezuelans crossing the borders and coming over. That is all part of the plan. And I suspect that now that they have voted on this referendum, and now that the Venezuelan president has actually annexed Essequibo to Venezuela, the people are going to be encouraged to come across and take over the land. That is what they're going to be encouraged to do. And they're going to dare you to take any action to prevent them from doing so. That is what it is, right? Yes, I did mention the point that Major General Cabello has been appointed as the governor, really, of Essequibo. So the Venezuelan president has appointed a governor, a military major general, to be responsible for the administration of this Essequibo region. What you're waiting for, that is not annexation. It is annexation. And when you talk about the ambassador to Venezuela, months ago, the Guyana government announced that Richard Van West Charles, a diplomatic neophyte, has been identified to take over, to go to be our ambassador in Venezuela. He has not gone yet, because up to a few days ago, I saw him in town. He has not gone. Unless he gone, he come back. And then a friend of mine who knows about these things, made it clear to me when I asked the question, are they rejecting him? He say, don't operate like that. They're not going to tell you no, they're not accepting, but they just would not move the process along to have him accredited. And you get the message then that they don't want him. And as CC said, another name is being bandied about. Another name is being bandied about as a man who is likely to go there as our ambassador. But even the other name, I am saying that when you face this type of crisis from Venezuela, I would have thought that you would need your most experienced diplomats to go there and handle the situation. But you're sending diplomatic neophytes, people who know nothing about diplomacy. And no disrespect meant to these gentlemen, if I can call them that. They just weren't in the diplomatic community, and therefore they don't know much about that level of diplomacy, especially in the face of the type of aggression that Venezuela has been displaying over the recent months. And it will be a sleepwalking Statements are being made in an haphazard way. Now Venezuela came out last night, Maduro, and made these revelations, what they're going to do to annex Essequibo. The president gave a short statement. So he has alerted the United Nations Secretary General. He spoke to CARICOM. He spoke to our bilateral colleagues, and that is what he has said in the last night, some late night broadcast he made. But we need to know. Somebody is asking me where this information that I just read is available. I got this from a source and I know it's very, very accurate, and it's there in their system. It is there in their system. Why hasn't the president sought to address these issues item by item and how we are expected to counter these things? The Venezuelan government, as I indicated, has established, President Maduro established a high commission for the defense of Essequibo, involving various governmental bodies and sectors. What have we done in response to that? What do we intend to do in response to that? We talk about one Guyana. We talk about being united in the face of this serious threat, and it's just talk. Actions do not match the talk. So people still abusing out the opposition. People still abusing out. And we said a long time during our protests in front of the Venezuelan embassy, this requires a national effort. They wait until the last one get unity, some unity consort at the place, and then last week Friday it was a day of national unity and people wearing t-shirts. That is the extent. That is how they see this thing being done. They resurrected Nascimento to be the PR guru in this thing. What has happened? What has happened? In my view, the whole PR arrangement has been a failure because people are still asking what this thing is about. Maduro came out last night with these with these issues, what they intend to do, and we haven't said anything. I haven't heard anything being said yet by the government as to how they intend to deal with it. So when people start to walk around Essequibo, when Venezuelans start to walk around Essequibo to take census and all that, what should the people do? And I have a strong suspicion that the people who are to do the census perhaps are already here. They were already sent here as immigrants and refugees. They're sleepers. They're just waiting now to be activated. And we had a policy, open door policy. Let them come. Let them come. The vice president said nothing wrong. If they're entitled to vote, they can vote. So I say again, it would appear to me that some people in the government sees, when they look at these Venezuelans who have been coming in here in the large numbers, all they see are votes. Issue them with identification card, votes. That is what we have. So now that these people have ratcheted up this threat, well, not only the threat, now they have actually taken action in advancement of this threat. We are waiting to see what the government response will be. I can imagine the people in places like Essequibo, Maburuma, and all this, very, very disturbed and anxious. President went there some time ago with the Mao Zedong type uniform, and enough pump, he gone at the border, lay down in some camp with the soldiers with fan blowing. Soldiers who have been to Etteringbang said never saw fan at Etteringbang before, right? So, so these things is so serious, and the level of incompetence in dealing with such a serious issue is unbelievable. Unbelievable. They have had Israeli, Essequibo vice president go all alone, they're going alone, and it's clear they don't know what to do. It is clear. So even though they're going it and say they're going to do something, what they're doing is not enough, and they have not been involving the wider population in whatever they're doing. So that is what it is. And somebody did make the point here that even now Suriname acting up as well, because I've seen a few posts from Suriname now which claiming that bottom part. You know, we have chased them out some years ago from that part where the Camp Jaguar, the old police will know Camp Jaguar area. We chased them out some years ago. Now you are seeing social posts again where some people are claiming that part belongs to them. So that is what we're having. Let me bring him back, Mr. Conway, if he has anything more to say. See,
Yeah.
this is an issue we gotta flag. We gotta keep pushing. We have been demonstrating. We have been calling. They had the ridiculous situation where they put Spanish sign on all the police vehicles and in the police stations. Through our concerted efforts, they decided to reverse that process. We have been calling for the longest while for more show of nationalism, patriotic songs. The only song you can hear playing over the place now is not a Dave Martin's, not a Blade of Grass, nothing. So all the patriotic songs that we were learned, that we would have sung while we were going to school, all them things done now, done. You don't even know the national anthem properly, many of them. Your view, CC?
Yeah, the Venezuelan talking about not only talking about taking over, they started the process. And we in Guyana, our the president talking about the, granting citizenship to those Venezuelans, you know, thousands of them in the northwest, at Can Hill, Whitewater, Yaroquito, and elsewhere, and we not vetting them. We accepting them with open arms. The president referred to them as our brothers and sisters. How they could be our brothers and sisters when they want our beautiful land? It could never be. And I recall in the late 70s, early 80s, when it was coming on to election time, they used to go to the border and issue ID card to Venezuela ID card to Guyanese. They just walk across the border in Baturio and elsewhere and get ID cards, especially those who consider themselves as traders. So ID card is nothing new. During the election time, they used to issue ID card to Guyanese who are in the border area. You know, it's really alarming that we sitting here in Guyana and we actually doing anything apart from little speeches here and there. Why not involve the opposition? I involve the opposition to go on stage with you and talk to you. And if the opposition refuse, well, then you can make a big issue of it. This thing must be a giant thing. Always remember when the two factions in Jamaica were warring, Manley and Siago. Bob Marley, the late and great Bob Marley, had them on stage, one love, and they talked together, they talked the same language. Even I remember even Peter Tosh went on stage and light up a split of marijuana, and the police couldn't do anything, That we need to move from talking into action, because Venezuela has started the action and they're not letting up. They say they're not dealing with no international law. They're not dealing with no ICJ. Essequibo belongs to them. They're saying when it is wrong. And we accommodating them. We accommodating the citizens. We making them Guyanese citizens. When the last thing I got to realize that you got to be 7 years before you become a citizen. But them within a year or so they turn citizen or just come across ID card and turn citizen. We need to do much more, Paul.
We need to do much more. We hope that they are listening. We know they're listening. We need to do much more. You made the point about they're calling them brothers and sisters. Yeah, they can be brothers and sisters, but you can always remember in some of the families, you have very covetous brothers and sisters. And if you're going to say the Venezuelans are our brothers and sisters, then they are covetous ones. And we have to treat them accordingly. Accordingly. So, as I've said, this matter now, based on developments overnight, is such a serious matter. One awaits with bated breath to see what will the response be. Because I am saying that if you read what took place last night, Venezuela has annexed Essequibo. In other words, they add Essequibo to now Venezuela. All the statements made last night by President Maduro points to that. The drawing of the new map, people needing license to go there, ordering the oil and gas companies, the Venezuelan oil and gas companies, to issue license to operate in Essequibo. That is annexation, and in the face of the ICJ decision, the people made it clear long ago. To also sit back there and to say, "Oh, Venezuelans said they're not going to invade. Oh, they're not going to do it." They made it absolutely clear that they are not going to abide by whatever the ICJ says. They are going to go ahead with the referendum, and we knew from the outset what the result of the referendum would have been. And instead of sitting down and planning for these eventualities, we've been on a jaunt in Dubai, come back the day before, and then jumping around the place. That is how you prepare for such a serious threat, the most serious threat that has ever faced this country. That is how you prepare for it. The most serious threat to have ever faced Guyana is being treated with scant regard by the people, the powers that be. They're gonna cuss tomorrow and they're gonna say all kind of thing because they're very good at that. But in terms of representing our territorial integrity, no. They don't cuss Maduro. They don't cuss those people. They cuss out Cathy Hughes. They cuss out Rickford Burke. They cuss out McIntosh. And those people, those are the targets. Kamari Paul now is a target. No free speech and all of that. That is what is going on. But let me move on. We have a little bit more time left. Let me move on. I saw yesterday, CC, and I'm going to read it, it's a short thing. I saw yesterday, the Guyana Police Force is reporting that following a report of robbery committed on Quy Ly Lin, who was relieved of $8 million on the 29th of November 2023, a comprehensive investigation was conducted, and the evidence revealed that two police constables, Julian Smart and Winston Williams, both conspired with the principal offenders to rob the victims of his property. Detectives are in possession of evidence showing Constable Smart taking the suspect to this crime scene. After the robbery was committed, Smart and Williams, both of whom were on motorcycles and in uniform, were seen escorting the suspects to an area known as Rasville. Both ranks were promptly arrested and questioned by investigators. Efforts are ongoing to arrest the principal offenders. A file was prepared and sent to the police legal advisor, Mr. Mandel Moore, who advised that based on the facts, there is sufficient evidence to charge both accused jointly with the offense of conspiracy to commit a felony, to wit robbery under arms, contrary to Section 34 of the Criminal Offences Act, Chapter 801. The police legal advisor also advised that Constable Smart and Constable Williams be interdicted from duty. That is yesterday. There's a release that I saw. Now, reading the newspaper this morning, I was shocked. Here what the newspaper says, Stabrook News this morning. Charges against cops over 8 million robbery thrown out as fiat missing from the case file. Now, again, let me say, yesterday they said these two ranks had to be charged with robbery, conspiracy to rob. Mandel Moore, the police legal advisor, advised that they should be charged, and they did. There was some indication that they would have appeared in court yesterday afternoon. And here we had a situation again, even before they appeared in court, their name plastered with photograph all over the place. Based on what I'm reading now, they appeared in court yesterday, the first day of appearance, and the matter, let me say, the matter is thrown out because the fiat is missing from the case file. Now, let me explain, and I'm bringing CC just now. We have spoken about this before on this program. Some time ago, I think Lisa Rahaman, I hope I get the name correct, she's supposed to be the public relations for the Director of Public Prosecutors Chambers, came out with a statement following a letter from Retred when they were talking about some issue, I think is the Siram issue on the East Coast, an alleged domestic violence issue. And when Retred questioned why that matter had to go to the DPP, Liz Rahaman is reported to have said that all matters must go to the DPP, all matters. And we came out on this program and we said, no, that is not so. Matters that are to go to the DPP are clearly stated in the law. The law will say that no prosecution should go forward unless if DPP's fiat has been first obtained. Now, here we have a case where two policemen are accused of conspiracy to commit robbery. And what they're saying, the police legal advisor advised for charges to be laid, and the file was never sent to the DPP to obtain the DPP's fiat. So yesterday, when these ranks went before the court, the lawyer made the observation. I understand from reading the magistrate adjourned for clarification, and then it discovered that the DPP's fiat was never provided. In other words, the DPP never gave the go-ahead for these charges. And I suspect, I haven't read the section, but I suspect this is one of the sections which says that no prosecution shall go forward unless the DPP fiat has first been obtained. CC, come in and help me out here, man. come in and help me to understand how this can happen, how this travesty, how this can happen. The charge yesterday and same day, the matter gone, all because of incompetence. We continue to speak about incompetence on this program. That is the name of the program. We speak out against corruption and incompetence. And if this is not incompetence, I don't know what is. What are your views, my brother?
Well, the DPP fiat is a command. This must be done. And there are certain offenses where you have to get the DPP's fiat before you can possibly, if you go, you can charge. And the magistrate, quite rightly, if the fiat isn't there, give them time to see, and they had any, to strike it out. We go along his way. And we hearing that, and we know that all the matters, even matters dealing on the police, this mark, in terms of discipline gain to going to the DPP. And to boot, the head of the CID, Assistant Commissioner Blanham, is an attorney at law. And he can get that advice from some other person who's very close to him too, who is also an attorney at law. Who, the whole thing is so ridiculous. I remember we spoke about it. Yeah, they probably even refer to Ian Chan's ruling, which say that certain matters where the DPP fiat must be there, you cannot proceed. So I don't know, they're jumping by the place, and then for, as you mentioned, they plaster the people name around the thing. Now I'm hearing like they're trying to get some backdoor entry. They're saying that the men were dismissed. I know they're dismissed, so they're dismissed, so they don't have to get DPS theaters. Now, who will get charged is that the charge itself saying that it must be from the DPP fiat must be taken. The command from the DPP must come into force, and there is it. No fiat, case gone, overboard. Well, it is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous indeed. And then on the same matter, I understand that based on what is being said, on the DPP, it is said here that the police legal advisor advised that Constable Smart and Williams should be interdicted from the force. But they got to be if they were members of the force, it should be standard practice for them to be interdicted after being charged. But in recent times, the extended squatter has been violating people's constitutional rights. And from the time members of the force are charged, they are dismissed arbitrarily. In other words, there's no presumption of innocence. The rule of law does not apply to them. And I always make reference to the matters on the East Coast last year, where Sergeant Damian McLennan and those guys appeared in court. I think it was on the 5th of July. On the same day, they are dismissed by the extended squatter. The ranks in Borbies, the 3 ranks in Borbies, dismissed. Now I understand that these two ranks here against whom this allegation is made, serious allegation, are dismissed. The allegations are serious indeed. But as I've said, there is something called the rule of law. There is something called the presumption of innocence. And even if they are caught red-handed, how the system should work, they are presumed innocent until proven guilty by a competent court of law. And they're saying, according to the thing here, that the ranks are dismissed. On what basis you're dismissing these people? On what basis? And the sad thing about this, the Attorney General has been complaining about it, about the payments having to be made, because you dismiss them like that, the matter goes before the court, there's no fiat, so the matter is dismissed. I don't know what recourse they now are, because I guess the question of double jeopardy, I'm not sure if that comes into play, but the people were charged, the matter is dismissed because the DPP fiat has not been obtained. And you mentioned the crime chief and those guys are liars. But remember, they are COVID liars, People that say they're COVID liars. In other words, they get admitted to the bar. They hadn't to go to law school in Trinidad and all that. So it's a different breed of liars, COVID liars. And the point is, coming back to this extended squatter who continues to violate people's rights, not only dismissing ranks arbitrarily, but as I indicated before, they still have a list of persons who are prevented from leaving the country arbitrarily, I must say, because given what the court ruled last year, any such list is illegal unless the court approves, unless the court says a person should not travel. Any list that you have, whether you call it, in that case, administrative list or blacklist, the judge made it clear there should be no such list. And here we have again this case, their ranks are investigated because based on what I've read, the ranks were arrested on the 29th and they had them in custody all the time. So this 72 hours thing doesn't apply. Even that the lawyer raised as an issue in court yesterday. Even that, because they were objecting to bail and all of that. And you know, the thing is sad, and I say, here it is. You have the allegation that 2 members of the force have been involved in a very serious offense. The article in today's paper even suggests that they use siren to escort the people after the robbery, to take them to wherever they have to go. They use police uniform and siren to escort these people. And rather than seeing that this thing is properly done, the first day the matter turns up, the matter is thrown out by the magistrate because the DPP's fiat has not been obtained to proceed with the charge. And one has to ask the question, but if some of these things are not deliberate, you must question, how can such a basic error be made? As we have said before, man accused of common assault, man accused of all sort of minor offense, DPP got to advise. That's what they're going to tell you. There's a case I mentioned in Bobby's not so long ago where a man get chopped up and so on. And the people weren't satisfied with the action taken by the commander, so they complained. Here it gone for legal advice. And in a matter like this, as I know it, a serious matter like this, you want the DPP's advice, it doesn't go through the normal channel. Somebody will take it by hand. The DPP is alerted, look, this file coming over, and you take it across, and the person will await, the person stand there and await until the file is perused, and then the advice given, and then you take it back wherever you got to take it, straight to court, straight to information, charge is instituted, whatever you have. And here we have a serious case like this. Serious case. No DPP's fiat and the matter gone. And I have to ask the question whether this was not deliberate to make sure that the people walk free. CC, your closing remarks, my brother.
You mentioned Barbies, and let me stay a bit in Barbies. It's Christmas time coming up, and I hope that you get a couple of truckloads of chicken to come down from Barbies. You know, and even they stop you at Wim police station, somebody gonna pass and how they release the chicken. And remember, Barbies got a reputation. Remember, we had whiskey come down, and we had a lot of meat coming down and that kind of thing. So, you know, and then we hear about some allegation against the commander Region 6, where alleged that he assaulted some woman. And I hear yet that the OPR investigating, you know. So all kind of thing happen, Paul. All kind of thing happen. Christmas time, you know. So chicken will come, whiskey will come, beef will come, and all kind of thing will come, and nothing will happen. And the investigation, they might let OPR investigate as senior superintendent.
Well, OPR is just a default position. They tell you OPR, but as we know it, unless they're investigating the commander for criminal offense, then anybody can investigate, I guess. And this is, I think you're referring to the issue where there was a fire at Corriverton Market recently, and the people complained that the police, including the commander, assaulted them. People said the commander had bull pistol and he beaten people. They wanted to go and retrieve some of this stuff. Police was preventing them from doing so, and they're claiming the commander. Imagine you get to the station with this police force where an allegation like that is made against the police commander. The police allegation is made against the police commander. An allegation of assault is made. So they're in a serious situation. Serious situation. As I indicated earlier, folks, we wanted to, when I gave the announcement for the program yesterday, I said we would have dealt with this vile statement by the second vice president, where he calling a member of parliament a lowlife. I have noted that the member of parliament sued him. I believe we might have to have a special program to address that, because our next program is scheduled for next Monday. I don't know if we can wait till Monday. Things happening so rapidly that we are put under pressure to stay within a certain time limit. So we are going to let you know. We are going to let you know what the next issue will be. So I want to leave again today with the, we play Not a Blade of Grass, Sometimes we play the speech by the former president. So maybe to inspire some of you, I will play the speech by the former president, and then we're going to duck out. So, we see you. If we're going to come before Monday, I'm going to let you know. But all things being equal, Monday will be the next program. While we're here, this what we call patriotic speech by the former he was the prime minister at the time. Let's hear it.
At one point of Guyana's western border with Venezuela, the Renamo River flows into the Cuyuni River, and there is an island at this junction called Ankoko Island of about 2 to 3 square miles. According to the map in existence since 1904, the border runs roughly through the center of Ankoko Island from north to south, so that the western part of the island is Venezuelan and the eastern Guyanese. For some time, in fact during last month, a number of Venezuelans were crossing onto the Guyanese side and have since then been carrying out certain works on our territory. The report of this came to the notice of the government a few days ago only, and an inspection party consisting of senior officials and 2 senior police officers visited the island the day before yesterday, Wednesday the 12th of October. This party verified and confirmed the earlier report received through unofficial channels. In the opinion of the government, this intrusion by Venezuelans constitutes a breach of the Geneva Agreement entered into between the governments of the United Kingdom and Venezuela on the 17th of February 1966, to which agreement the government of Guyana is now a party. And today I have sent a cable to Dr. Iribarren Borges, the Foreign Minister of Venezuela, strongly protesting the intrusion of Venezuelan personnel onto Guyanese territory and asking that immediate steps be taken by the government of Venezuela to ensure the immediate withdrawal of all such personnel. I have this morning informed the leader of the opposition of the situation and held discussions with him. Meanwhile, I await a reply from the Venezuelan government. I consider it my duty to inform the nation of this latest development and to assure you that every step is being taken to retain our territorial sovereignty by peaceful means. Your government proposes to abide by the terms of the Geneva Agreement and is hopeful that the government of Venezuela will do likewise. You are asked to remain calm and to await further information. Long live Guyana.
We are a peaceful people, struggling, we struggle, and we don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces